and about JSON. So let's first talk about JSON. In JSON we will discuss two things. One is what is the how the normal JSON is looking like, and what are the different ways that we can control our JSON paths in Velocity itself. Like there's a two ways. One is the native behavior of JSON. Second is to make our life easy, how we can use that JSON in that way. Okay, so these two things we will look. So JSON starts with this curly bracket, and whatever you write here, it will be in key and value pair. Okay, your key will be the identity and value will be its value. So if I want to access this value, I need to refer the key. Okay, and we need to use it inside the double quotes. Okay, so whenever we work on a JSON, we need to follow the same structure. If there's no parent, then we can directly access this value by referring key. But if there is a parent, then let's see how we can do that and what is the main thing here. Let's also talk about the nomenclature. This is what called your root node. Okay. In one path, there will be only one root node, and then we can divide into parent and child nodes. So let's say how we can do that. Let's say we want to we want to show account related information. In that case, this will be the root node. Inside the root node, we will add account. Inside account, we need this curly brackets again, and here we can write the information like ID and semicolon and the name. I mean the value. It could be like those 18-digit IDs, right? And then there will be a comma. Under that, we need to define name, right? Here will be the name, and this will go on like so this will go on like that. So if we want to access, let's say we want to access this test value, then how we need to retrieve that? We need to follow this. First, we need to write account, and then we need to write this, and after then we need to write name. Okay. In normally, this is how you will retrieve the value of JSON path. In Velocity, we need to add percentage on the starting and the end. Okay, like I was discussing in the last class as well, if you're directly adding this, it will consider this as a string. So it will directly print this value. But if we want to access this test here, like which is the exact value of name, in that case, we need to add the percentage mark. Okay. So this node is what called parent node. Okay. And this will be your root node. This is the normal structure of how JSON works. Okay, but let's say we also have the contact information of this account. Okay, and we want to retrieve that contact information as well. In that case, we have two options, which is the traditional ways. We have to maintain contact here. Okay, we need to create a child node under parent, which is account of contact. Okay. Inside that, we will define the contact fields, which is, let's say, ID. And we can copy that. Similar to this, similar ways, the name and all those fields, right? This will be the structure of your JSON as well. Let me convert it into JSON. Okay. Yeah, this will be the structure of your values of getting that. Now let's say we want to retrieve the contact information. Okay, then what we need actually, let me actually remove it because it is looking differently. Yeah. Now let's say we want to retrieve this account information. In that case, follow this rule. First, write which information you want. We need a name, right? So write name. What is its current parent? It is contact. Use contact, add a semicolon. What is the parent of this node, which is account? Okay, you need to follow this until you reach to the root node. Okay, so this is how we will access the value. Okay, any questions on it? We will actually use it when we today itself when we actually discuss the DR. Here I'm just creating a background so that we will aware how the JSON actually is working in there and how it is the behavior. Now, in typical Salesforce, when we actually write a query, let's say if we retrieve information of contacts, we have two options. One is we can pass in where condition we can pass the account ID, right? Second way is we can also use inner queries. Let's say this select ID, comma name, then comma here we can write select ID, comma name from contacts, and this will be from accounts, right? From account. So this is how the inner query will work inside Salesforce. So if you follow this structure, it will always be when you need to retrieve this account, this you need to print this name information of contact. It will always be some tricky job, right? Here, what we are doing, since this is the JSON structure, now this is what the advantage of using Velocity. We don't need to follow this structure always. It is up to us. Do we want to define this contact inside account, or we want to show the JSON like this? First, we will display all accounts, and then we will create a parent node of contacts. If we define this, then it will be easier for us to refer any contact information, right? In that case, we don't need to pass this account as well. We can directly refer a contact and then name and all those other fields as well, right? So this is purely up to us. What is the exact structure that we want to follow? We can also change the account here to something else. Let's say in project, we call it, let's say user table. So we can name it user table. It is free text. We can write anything on that. But in the configuration, we have to use account. We will check this thing today. OK, next thing is these key values. You can also change the name of this ID to something else, this name to something else. But in the backend, it will always be tagged to name. So all the JSON key, JSON nodes, we have 100% control how we want to drive it. But the problem or the key here is we should always follow the same thing, because let's say if we created a data raptor where we call it account, let's say here we call it account. OK, we call it account, and in all the Omni scripts or everywhere we refer account to retrieve the values. And then the information is now someone changed it to user table. In that case, it will not work wherever we use it as an account, because that is the problem with JSON. If you change anything into the root node to the child node, any node, if you change, the information will not work because it is working on this tagging. So this we need to take care when we actually design data raptors. We need to maintain the consistency across our project. If you are calling account as a user table, then we should follow the same practice that it should always be written as a user table, not account. Because what I have observed, the person who's working on data raptor and the person who's working on OmniScripts or any other UI tool, they are two different persons, right? We generally don't assign everything to one, right? In that case, if someone refer this and there they change it, or they maybe after some time who work on some enhancement or bug fixing, they rename this, then it will be an issue. So yeah, just want to highlight, once the structure is finalized, we don't change the name of any of the parent node or even the key as well. If they are already existing, it is very similar how once we create the field into the Salesforce, we don't change their API names, right? If you change it, all the places where they are using, they will start crashing it. And in Velocity, especially in this JSON, if you make any mistake, it will be very difficult task to identify, to pinpoint where exactly the mistake is happened. Okay, because it's all JSON and JSON will not throw that exact error. We'll also talk about how to debug if there's any issue happen inside the JSON. So any questions on the JSON part? Are we good? I hope I'm recording this session. Let me check. Yeah. Any questions? All clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the data raptor and create that. So what we are doing is we are in the data raptor, we are trying to make a query on account and its contact. There's one more thing actually, which is the list. Let what if account has more than one contact? In that case, how the JSON will look, we will check that. As of now, just take the this thing, like there is one account and one contact. We will check how we will retrieve the value if there is a multiple contacts. That list part we will discuss maybe tomorrow. Now let's only discuss about one record. Again, you need to go to the plus, and here there's a different VF page that Velocity created for us to access the data raptor. Data raptor design. This one. Let me also open the Omniscript. Yeah. So this is the VF page of data raptor. They have already created some examples for us.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have seen two data omniscripts there. One was velocity omniscript, second was the normal omniscript. What was the difference between them both?
They both are same actually. Previously they call it velocity. Okay. You mean here tab?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So one is the record. Let me again tab Omniscripts. Okay. So this is nothing but a tab. Whatever we do, it will create a tab for us. Like
Okay,
whatever changes we are doing in the VF page, it is creating a record in the backend. And this is
okay.
what record here. So remember, yesterday we created three, what to say, three
Account
versions of,
search.
yeah, account sets. So this created those three here. So let me also show you that inside this Omniscript, whatever we are dragging in the VF page, it will create a child component here as well. Okay,
Okay.
so it's like it is same as how if I ask someone as a developer to do that, they also do the same thing. So Velocity is also doing the same thing. It is totally depend on the object oriented programming where they are referring this record to retrieve the value. So if I again open the same Omniscript, let's say I click on it and I open that. So what in the backend this VF page is doing, it is retrieving this record. Okay, it is making a SOQL query to retrieve the record, and based on the JSON that is stored inside it, it is displaying the values, all those pre-filled values like steps and all. This is nothing but it is querying on the child elements and displaying it here. Okay, so this is how it is working, and they have stored everything into the JSON. We will also check that JSON as well. Okay, same thing here as well in the data raptors. Whatever we do, whatever we create, it will again go and create a backend record for it. We'll talk about it.
And these all supported in Lightning as well, right?
Yeah, they are all in lighting as well. The thing why I'm not showing in lighting because it becomes some slow. So that's why, but yeah, when we discuss about LWC enabled component, we will switch this environment to lightning as well. Okay,
Okay.
or yeah. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a, I hope I logged in with, yeah. Create a data raptor. Okay. So in data raptor, you have, let's talk about this option first. Again, it will ask you to name something. Here we need to directly name count search, count data search, let's say. This name again needs to follow the camel case, but Velocity will never enforce you to follow any naming convention. It is purely up to you, up to your company's nomenclature, how we actually want to define the names of our components. Velocity will never say if I use a small or a caps. It is just our ease of use. And why they are saying that you need to be consistent, because at the end of the day, it is all JSON and JSON is case sensitive. So that's why. Okay. Here you will see four options: extract, turbo extract, load, transform. We'll discuss about it. Just use this simple one, extract, as a reference. Let me tell you the difference, but yeah, there is a different session where we will dive into it. So extract means the normal SQL query that we are making. Okay, we can retrieve multiple objects in extract. Turbo extract will restrict the limits here. It is a little restricted. If I compare this with the extract, you can only make one object query here. So you can say this is something which used for performance. If we are sure that we are only going to make one object query, then we will use the turbo extract. Load is something when we need to retrieve the data from different sources, and transform is something when we need to uh, let's say we are receiving data from third party and the data is in XML format. Okay, but in our OmniScript, we need to show it in JSON format. So this, in that case, we will use transform to convert the type of that data, right? So as of now, just focus on the extract. We'll discuss about this in the further sessions. Next thing is the input and the output. Here they will provide you some options, like input means whatever value that you are feeding into it. Like if let's say here we are making a query, right? So here we need to pass something in where ID, because we cannot query all accounts, right? Our requirement is whatever users are searching into that page, into that OmniScript, that record only needs to show here. So we are feeding some information, right? So what is the type of this feeding? Whether this follow a JSON structure, XML, or it's a custom. Custom means a Apex class structure. That means any uh, you have written your own way, maybe any wrapper or any list or any map that you want to use it. In that case, we will use custom. But in 90%, we will only use JSON, because OmniScript also support JSON only. XML and these two things we will use when we are interacting with something else, maybe some external systems and all. Same goes here as well. If you want to make it XML or custom as an output as well, right? Again, this is for let's say any permissions you want to give. So you can write those records here, because this will be assigned to some users. And if let's say user don't have access to query contact, then you probably need to give the permissions to that. You can define it here as well, right? And this is the description, which is for the internal users. Now click on the save.
Abhay, could you please elaborate on permissions?
Yeah, so permission means you can define the permissions name here. Like if you, let's say you want to provide a permission to any external user, let's say community user. Okay, and the community user, let's say they don't have access to view outside accounts. Let's say accounts are private. Okay, but you need to give some level of access to get those things. In that case, you need to define the permissions here. That's why that is the option where you, if you want to define any permissions. Okay.
Will it respect the native sharing setting?
No, it will only refer the name of permissions. Even if it will not refer the permission sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Will it run on like what context actually? Whenever this query runs, say like I want to read the account information in Salesforce.
Mhm.
So some user context it should run right in backend.
Right.
So
So correct. So it follow the same Salesforce structure where it depends from where you're calling this script. If you're calling this script from a OmniScript, which is a VF page, then it will run on user mode only. If you're
yeah.
calling this script from any third party, which is maybe any which is running on or triggering anything which is system dependency, so it will run on system mode. Okay, so it will only see the data raptor will never tell you which mode it is running.
Okay.
That's the input system which is calling the data raptor is controlling the behavior here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But in most of the cases, it will run on system, user mode only, because OmniScript and all, they are on the VF pages. Even if you install it through, I mean, if you install your everything into any community and you redirect using URL redirection, you enable all those things. Even in that case also, it will run on user mode only.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this UI. Yeah, but before that, you again you can say it has created a record ID. So let's check this record as well. So whatever changes we will do, now it will get stored into that record. And you can say this is nothing but a data raptor builder. Okay, all those settings, like we have given the name, we have given the interface, this we will check, and all those things will be get stored here itself. Okay, so whenever we open this, whenever we open and click on account data search, it will doing nothing, but it is querying on that based on the JSON which is stored inside that. It is showing the layout. Okay, now let's talk about it, but before that, let me write a query. Same query would be write in Apex list of count list count is equal to, okay, I'm just removing the inner query here, name and name. Let's say this is the query that we want to run. If we want to retrieve, if we want to meet our requirement, then this is the query we need to probably fire into the Apex class. Now what we are doing is we are creating the same query using data raptor, right? So first, this tab which is called extract, what it is doing, you need to click on this. There it will ask you, it will show you all the available uh, I mean available custom objects and standard objects and custom settings, these and metadata. So these things they will show here. Okay, you can use query on those objects. In our case, we need to fire account. So just click on account. This is the first thing that we need to do. Now, whatever changes we are doing here, keep an eye on this area. Now what it is doing, it is saying just create a node here, what you want to call. Like here we call it account, right? We call it account. So it is asking us what is the parent node you want to use. So let's say we want to use account here only. So you can see now it is created under the account. I can also change it to like I was saying user table, right? So it will start the JSON as a parent node will be user table. So here you need to take care whether you want to call it account or something else, right? Next thing is the filter. So here it is showing all the fields of this object. So from where we are getting the object, this is the place we are creating the object. What is the external output path? It is the entry point, which is the parent node of your JSON. Now we are setting the filter. We are actually trying to do this part. This area now we are working from account. Now it is asking what is the where condition you want to use. In our case, let's say we want to use name. And here all those variables, like equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, and all those things, like, not like, include, whatever basically we can use in the SOQL, they all are listed here. Like here we need to give something. So for demoing purpose, I am hard coding any value. Let me actually search any account name. Okay, we will dynamically pass this value from OmniScript, but here I'm just for demoing, I'm just directly hard coding any account name. Yeah, let's say make this one. Yeah, one more thing. Before you, if I directly put something here, so it will be treated as a variable. Okay, to make it a string, we need to define this single column or double column. Let's use double column first. Okay. Next thing is this is the normal query we are done, right? Account name like this, but there are other things as well in SQL, like limits, offsets. So all those things you can control here. You can again write any another condition where you can just need to click on and again all those, let's say status. Velocity status is equal to, let's say, active. Those things we can again add. Again, there is an option to add any or condition. So you can do all those things here itself, right? So let me delete this filter. So this, apart from this, you can also create any limit, offset, order by, right? All these things we can do. So you can do all those things directly inside it here. So now whatever we done is we have created the.
So do we need to consider governor limits as well here?
Yeah, we need to consider the government limits based on the see, whatever you basically do in your Apex class, we also need to follow the same thing. Let's say we are aware like this query may return more than 500 records and we only want to retrieve 10 or 20 records. So in that case, I can simply go and set the limit to 100. 10 or 20, whatever is the requirement. So that we need always need to make sure like we are always following the best practices. If we are not following that, then it will be, you will see the legacy into the back systems. It will not work correctly. But yeah, there is an option to control that as well. We'll discuss today itself. But yeah, it's a good point. We have to take care about the best practices here as well. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Formula we will discuss again. It is a different topic and it is very powerful. Whatever you can do in a formula fields, okay, you can do all those things in formula. Let's say, let me give you a background. Let's say there is no field that concatenate use accounts name, email, and phone number. There's no field that concatenate and display these three information in one line. In that case, if we want to use it, we simply create a formula. Okay. Formula is that aggressive. Even you can call a Apex method and you can use that method as a formula itself. That means in the back end, let's say, like I was saying, I think I already gave the example. We write this if condition where we need to write the condition. We need a comma and what is if it is true and in the false, right? This thing we follow in if condition, but this if is nothing but a method that Salesforce is written. Whenever we call this if, it will be treated as a, it will nothing but expecting three parameters here. But in the backend, it is a method. Similar ways, we can create our own formula where we just need to call our Apex class and define a name, what formula we want to use. Let's say this I append if, and here I write my formula. So this will be my name. This will be the name of my formula, and here whatever parameters that we are expecting from users, they can directly put into it, and whatever based on the return type, it will return the value, right? So you can use all those Apex classes here as well, which doing the many callouts or anything. You can define it here. So formula is that aggressive. We'll discuss about it. Yeah, but as of now, we can say this is our query, and the next thing is to add the field names, right? To add the field name, we have this option which is called output. You need to go here. There are two things, which is the extract path and output path. Let's check what are those. Whenever you click here, the just keep an eye on this side. It will create the JSON. Let's say we want to use name. Okay, you can type this, and now here it will say name. I will tell you what I'm doing. Yeah, so now check this. And now I'm comparing this with the JSON that we have written here. When I was explaining things, I told you it is not required to always pass the exact label name here as well. Like if we want to retrieve account name, then it is no requirement that I need to pass name only here. We can write our own thing here, right? So this is the place from where we can do that. I named it account name, which is my output JSON path. I can also write name here. There's no such issue. Okay. Now it will change to name. But the exact mapping, which is saying this name is account name, is done here, which is extract JSON path. Getting it? So your extract JSON path, this one will be the key value, which is saying account is the object name and name is the API name of the field. And this is something which is for the JSON. You can write account here as well, or anything that you want. It will be treated here. It will be as a key and the value will be derived from the whatever value there in the account. Similar ways, we can configure other fields. Let's say email, maybe any custom field, any maybe city, account city, industry. Yeah, let me add one more. On to let's say 4. Can also type this. Anyways, we will discuss what I'm not using this as of now. Yeah. So whatever we have done, now it is creating a JSON like this. Okay. Any questions on it? We'll discuss about this data type and default values, but yeah, just keep an eye on the JSON part here. This is how it will return the JSON. Now, if I summarize it, our JSON path is now looking like this, where this is the this is our key and the values are directly passed from this variable. So in the backend, what it will do, it will make phone, name, industry, and billing city into the here. ID, name, phone, billing city, and all those things will be passed here. And the name and the variable you can say will be those to hold this information. Okay. The next step is the options. We'll discuss about it. But before that, let's first take the preview. Preview is nothing but for basically doing the unit testing, whatever we have configured in this. If you want to see how the data is looking like, you just need to click on this edit params. Okay, here we directly hard code the condition where name is like this. If we make any variable here, then we need to pass the variable name in a key and whatever value we want to show, we need to pass it here. We'll discuss about it, don't worry. But as of now, since we already hard coded, we just need to click on the execute button. Okay, you can see it give us this JSON. Okay, so this is our account. This is phone number. This is industry, city, and name of Acme record. Also, if we can write the ID, it's also configure. Account ID. Go to the preview and execute again. And if you open this, all those settings basically we are doing. In the debug panel, you can see the exact query that we are making. Select ID, name, billing city, industry, phone from account where name like this, right? Limit 100. This is the same query that we have configured through Data Raptor. Now let's talk about a scenario where some error happened. Let's say, let me make anything. Yeah, let's do one thing. Let's directly pass Acme. Okay, then go and hit it. Now I will see nothing is coming here. And now you need to check what is the wrong and why it is not showing anything. Then you need to click on this debug statements. Yeah, this error. Here it will show exact whatever returned from the server. It is saying no valid data returned. Please check the mapping having the valid value. So what it is saying is basically whatever value that you have used here, it is not matching with any record. So in the backend, what it is doing, basically, it is now considering Acme as a variable. So if this this will always be the case. I mean, you will never hard code any value. You just use any variable name here, and the data raptor is expecting any value from it. Okay, so in that case, you need to click on this. The key will be the exact variable name and the value will be its value. Okay, now you can extract it. Okay, now you can see it is returning the value. Okay, any questions on it? If it is not under double quote, it will be considered as a string. If it is, yeah, if it is in double quote, it will consider as a string. If it is not, then it will consider as a variable. And since it's a variable, then before you execute, it is expecting some value inside it. That's why it was throwing that exception. Okay. Now, one more thing that I want to focus, you can see there's a matrix on the top which is showing the performance of your code, whatever you have written. This is very important. Whenever this server time goes up to 500 ms, that means you are not optimizing the code. You need to work on it. Okay, same goes for CPU time as well. It should not cross the limit. Why I'm saying this? Because see, this is one data raptor. In your OmniScript, you're calling multiple data raptors. Maybe you're calling multiple data raptors, which is taking its own time. In that case, the interface will become very slow if it is not optimized well. So yes, before you create any data raptor, you need to make sure the timings here. Here we only configured the native fields and some custom, yeah, native fields. There's nothing more dependency, but this matrix is become important when we introduce formula. Let's say in formula, you're calling a apex class that is returning something. Okay, maybe any value that you want to use, like the same example, you want to concatenate name, email and phone number in one way and you want to return it. You need to create a formula for that. And let's say you created a formula by calling a apex class, but your apex class code is not optimized. It is doing something, it is running inside for, there's no best practice we have used. In that case, the time will go up, right? Yeah, you can see this ms is now converted into 500 or 1000 ms because now there is a dependency on apex class here as well. But do you think it is a best practice to use this 500 ms in our Omni scripts? Obviously not, because it will users will throw users need to wait for it, right? And at that moment when we deploy it to production, at that moment it also become a challenging job for us to optimize and to find which data raptor or which integration procedures or whatever backend action is taking time. So what we generally do is, we to control this behavior, we go to the options. Okay, here the first thing that you see is the time to live in minutes. Here you can directly define the time. You just need to convert it into minutes. Okay, and here you need to define it. It will, if it will take more than that ms seconds, it will itself, drop this data raptor, and it will throw the exception that this data raptor is not returning any value. We will discuss about it, how that exception will show, and how as a developer how you can track this data raptor that this data raptor is not working. We will discuss about it, but yeah, make sure this is the field that you always put. Okay, that totally depends on your I mean company to company, because this 500 that I'm saying, it's not written in stone. This may change, but yeah, that is something that your architect will tell you what is the maximum server minutes that ms that we can support up to. Okay, but yeah, this is something that you need to put always. The best practice is there should be some value inside it. Otherwise it will be a free data raptor, which if it is taking 10 minutes before the CPU timeout, whatever time it is taking, it will hold for it. Okay, there's no backend error you will see, but in the front end user will see a lag. Okay, which we obviously don't want, because the velocity is itself used because to avoid those lags. So yeah, this is something which is best practice. This is also something asked in two interviews, like how you can control or what are the best practice in terms of a OmniScript, what are the best practice you follow. So this is one of them. Next thing is this. If you check this checkbox, then your code will run on with sharing. Okay, if you don't check this checkbox, it will run on without sharing. I mean, there's no sharing involved actually, but if you check this, then it will work on with share mode. Okay, so if you're, let's say, exposing this data raptor for any external users or a restricted profile users are also going to use, make sure you also check this checkbox so that it enforce the sharing rules here. Next is the target null value. Let me tell you what is that. So let's say, let me add a field which
Abhay, are those sharing rules or the profile level permissions? Because it says field level security, right?
yeah, field level security, check field level security. So
For the
sharing,
so it checks if they have read access to the field or not, correct?
yeah, but this also enforce whether let me actually explain you that. So first thing is profile level. Okay, so if user don't have access to that profile, it will also verify the same thing. Again, if user is assigned any permission sets and we are providing to FLS on permission sets itself, in that case, it will also verify whether these permission are assigned any permission sets or not. So in general, you can imagine this, the code, when you check this checkbox will run on with share. Getting it? It is very similar how we create our Apex classes. If we write Apex classes in with share, that means it will also verify field level. It will also verify the permission sets that is assigned to that user.
Okay.
Yeah. Now let me configure a field which is null. Maybe I think this facts or description. Let's say description. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we have configured 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, 6 keys here. Let me do a preview. Extract here. We need to delete this. We are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are only receiving 5 nodes, but in the output we have configured 6 nodes. Okay. Why this is happening? Because the value inside description is blank. Okay. So what in the backend, what Velocity does it, what Data Raptor does it, it will only show the keys which is having some values. It will not show blank keys. So that is also a good concept for us as well. Since it will not show any blank key, we don't need to take care about null exceptions. That is also a good advantage. But just in case if we want to display all nodes, there is an option we need to check this. And then if I go to the preview and hit it, you will see now the blank value will also show here. Since this is JSON, whatever cast, whatever type you are using, it will automatically convert itself to string. That is also something that we need to take care. Okay. Now all the behavior here is considered as a string. If we want to retrieve, yeah, here it is a string, but when it goes to OmniScript, right, it will be considered as the default value that is your field level is supporting. Okay, so don't be confused. Like if it is written inside these brackets, it will always be considered as a string. Why I'm saying this? Let's say there's a number field. Okay, maybe let's say this phone is number field, and in the OmniScript we have used a text field. Okay, in that case, this will not show any data because the return type is number, not text. So that is also something that we need to take care. Whenever you work on a data raptor, you also let's say you're working on a data raptor, someone in your team is working on a Omni script. So if they are not aware about that, you need to tell them the behavior of those fields will be same and it is governed from the object. Okay, that is something that you need to tell them. That means now they will take care that they need to cast these fields based on the object. Okay, that is something we usually use. Yeah, getting it right. I mean, there are options where you can control the field as well, field type as well. You want to control this as a string, you can go in formula and convert this into string and then add it into the node. That is also some case. But for in that case, we need to highlight this, that we have changed the casting so that someone who's using that into the OmniScripts, they need to take care about it. Okay. All right. Now we have done the preview. We also discuss about options. Yeah. Now this is the time when we need to configure this data raptor to OmniScripts. Let's do that. Also just refresh this. Let me show you that. Mhm. Okay, it is not displaying anything anyways. Yeah. So here we need to come. This is our Omni script. Let's keep it here. And this is our data raptor. Okay. So see, we have reached to this tab by this tabs, right? I mean, we click on this and then we create a data raptor. We have other options as well. Let's discuss about it. Now we need to fire our data raptor, right? What? Now let me also delete this. We don't requiring that. Can you tell me what will be the position of our data raptor? Whether it should be before the step one, after step one, or after step two?
After step 1.
Correct. If we add the data raptor before step one, then we cannot pass the value in which is stored in this, right? It will never, we can't pass this value because it is outside it. There is no value inside it. It will always show the null values, right? In that case, it will should be the right value, right position will be after step one. Now here you need to click the extract action. Just append the actions and select data raptor extract action and drag it here. Okay, there are a number of configurations that you will see. We will discuss about all those configuration when we reach to that points. Okay, as of now, just consider the name. This name, you can write anything here. Let's say count server call. Okay, this label. Yeah,
Is it more or less acting like a method that we call?
right. It is acting like a method. And this is the entry point of this method. It is also expecting you to pass some variables as well. We'll discuss about it, but yeah. Let me think about a valid name here. It will not visible anyhow, but yeah, it may also visible. It be
Query accounts.
yeah. Now here, this is nothing but a list of all data wrappers that are available. You need to type something. Let's say we type uh, contact data. Okay, and there's no data raptor that with the name. Then you can also create a data raptor directly here by clicking on this tab. Okay, so you don't need to go to plus and then create a data raptor. There is also option where you can directly create it, but it will anyhow open the same data raptor tab for you. Okay, so I'm not doing it as of now. Maybe after some time we will do. Here, whatever we have done, it will display. You need to click on it and it will be used here. Now, yeah, we have hard coded the value correct. So what it will do basically, what is the expected behavior? Here we have configured our data raptor. We have not passed anything in the input parameter. Why? Because we have not even in our data raptor, we haven't used anything. Now what we are expecting is when we do the preview, it should fire the data raptor and there should be no issue. Whatever value that we have configured, this value should be visible into the debug panel. Okay. Since we have not configured any UI, so there will be no change into the UI as well. So let's check that. Okay. Let me also append this to 100%. And yeah, keep an eye on this data tab. Here we have given ABCD, clicked on the next. Okay, it didn't do anything to the UI because nothing is configured, but it is not letting me scroll. Yeah, but you can see whatever we have, whatever JSON that it is retrieving here, it is showing the same JSON here as well, right? So that means we have configured our data raptor and OmniScript correctly. All those values that you are seeing here in the node, they are directly tagged inside the step, right? So no, they are not tagged inside the step because we have not used anything into this step. We will discuss about it, why this is the behavior, but all those things are displaying here, right? The next thing is let me show you this, copy that. If you notice, the values are showing, there's no direct parent node for those options, right? It is directly showing it. If we append, I mean, if in our case, it is very small script and there's no big JSON that we need to handle. But in the real time example, you have so many steps, and in that steps, there's so much data. So it always preferable way to whatever data raptor is returning, we should always store it in a parent node. Okay. I mean, velocity will never enforce you again. It will never say you, it will never stop your work to do, but it will be, difficult for us to handle that. So what I'm saying is, what if it should look like that account. Okay. And inside account, all those values are there. The nodes. Okay. So this will be the parent node, and then all those values are inside it. And if we again configure those fields for contacts, there should be another node for contacts, right? So now let's check how we can convert this structure to this structure. Okay. This structure to this structure. For that, we need to again go to the data raptor, click on the output tab, append here. Here you need to use account and then semicolon. Click on this plus, just keep an eye how it is changing. We use account and semicolon. It is now whatever we have written inside, after that it will be considered as a key, and this will be its parent node, right? Similar ways we need to use here as well. Okay, two things are there. ID, let's keep it outside. I will tell you why. Four and the last fifth. Okay, so now all are converted into that. Now let's go back and clear the data and call it again. Now you can see the values are coming inside it. Okay, it is also displaying the something which is not having any value. Best practice said it should not return. So let me go and uncheck this checkbox, because if you're returning, that means you also need to take the responsibility to handle the null exceptions. So just uncheck that. Okay, now it will only show the nodes that are having some values. Okay, only show the keys that are having any values. Okay, any questions up to here? Now in the next class, what we will do, we will change the hard coding and we will pass a dynamic value and see how, based on the user selection, how it will show. Okay, that thing we will do tomorrow. We will also do a rendering part where what if there's no valid information that our user are throwing. Let's say they are using this random value. In that case, there is no valid account exist. Then how we will display this information, how user will aware, okay, this is not available. Okay, those things we will talk about tomorrow. Any questions on this class? You think you need any help?
See, usually when we write the SOQL, we'll be having some grouping of and or. something like account name equal to Acme, and account city equal to, for example, Bangalore, and account or we may add or the account is active, something like that. That
Mhm.
contains both and or condition. So in SQL we used to parenthesize, right? So all the and condition will kept together. Then we'll keep a bracket. After that we will write the or condition, and rest of the things will be there in one more set of bracket. So that kind of way we used to write the SQL. But here we will perform a grouping.
So grouping, there's no option where you can actually define which and or which will be the sequence, but that will be automatically taken care of velocity. Like if you add any and conditions and inside this you want to use or, so you need to group them. You need to take those things together, and after then you can define anything else as well. Then those things will be written in that way only. So there is no such way. In most of the cases, it worked like that only. But if we need some more complexity, we have to depend on formula. And
Oh,
then
mhm.
those things we can directly use. So see, if I go here and click on plus icon, this is all available fields, right? It is show all available fields, but I can also type a free text.
Okay.
Okay. In that case, it still accept this. That means here, whatever text that we are using, we can refer those text into the formula, and whatever complex things that we want to follow, we can return it as a true and false, and those things we can directly use inside it. So if you use here, the text will be available. This text is also available. I think it is not getting say, yeah, we haven't tagged it, but yeah, whatever your formula will return, you can also use in where clause here.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Data
Okay.
records itself used to do the integration with external system, I think.
Which one?
Say like I need to contact to some address registry. So
Mhm.
bypass the account name, I need to validate its address. Maybe if that may be the use case, I can do an integration with external system with the data adapter itself, I think.
Yeah, you can do that, but it is not a best practice. Why I'm saying it, because data raptor is something that usually we control to do the SQL query. Okay. If you are making a call out, that means it will definitely take some time. In
Yeah.
that case, we don't want a user to hold this information. There is
Yeah.
an integration procedure for that. So
Integration.
yes, you can create formula, and there's no harm on that, but it
Yeah.
may be not in that sense, because they have created a different tool for itself, right? So why
Yeah.
don't create this
Yeah.
thing here?
Got
But
it.
yeah, data raptor is capable enough to do that, because you can directly call apex class. But in that
Exactly.
case, you need to write apex class. But if you follow the integration procedure, you can directly call that third party without writing without writing any apex class.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me delete those things.
So like data raptor is now the controller in MVC.
You can say that data raptor is an entry point of the controller. In more specific way, you can say data raptor is something that is returning the query.
Okay.
Okay, there are different type of data raptors. Like there are 4 types of data raptor. This extract is only performing the query, you can say. Here you can also use different objects. I can also query on contexts, right? So those things, especially we use data raptor to perform SQL queries.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And for complex works, we use integration procedures. Even when you actually work on a live project, you will not use data raptor. We will not drag data raptor here. We'll
Mhm.
discuss about why. You always use integration procedure actions, integration procedures here. And
Okay.
inside integration procedures, you will use data raptors. Okay. This is something which is called best practices. Why? Because you can also see you have dragged one data raptor here. Okay, maybe after some time you need to use another query, then you again need to add a data raptor. Okay, maybe in the same state, we'll discuss about it. I mean, there is a different class, but yeah, giving you a background. Let's say this is a one data raptor. You need, after this data raptor, you want to fire an email action. You can, after this, you drag an email action. Once email action is done, you probably need to do any HTTP call out. You drag the HTTP call out. So in the backend, what it will doing, it will first in the backend Salesforce run the data raptor, then it will do this, and
It's
then it
simply
will do this.
creating an account. It's simply creating an Apex class with all these methods one after the other.
Yeah, so you're basically running in the backend 3 times. You're hitting server 3 times,
Two
which is
times.
not best practice. You can do one call to retrieve all those things. In that case, we use integration procedures because all those things we can directly do into that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we can break the session. Just go today. You can go and create your own data raptor. You can also test the mapping and tag it to the OmniScripts and see whether it is returning any value or not. If you find any exception or any issues, let me know. We will first talk about it.
You said you would be creating a new app just to avoid this error. So any update on that?
Yeah, I will create it. I mean, yeah, we'll create it and share the credentials.
Okay. And so I think there's a dev.org also available for Omni Studio. Is it something relevant that we can use for testing?
Dev.org, you can use for those things. We can use Dev.org, but the problem that I have observed is the some other CMT package things. It's
That
not
isn't
working
there.
that
That's not
smoothly.
available in that. At least
Yeah,
for Data Raptor and OmniScript, you can use that, correct?
yeah, all those things. I mean, as a basic
For
concepts,
the
you can.
generic concept, we can use that.
Correct, correct, right, right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. All right. Thanks. Let's meet tomorrow.
Thanks, Abhay. Have a nice day.
Thanks.